Domk.
Are you serious?
Friday nights, 11 till midnight. Indie, local, rock, Domk.
All clear?
97.5 KMOD.
This is the Domkcast with Lunchbox and Promo Brady. You can listen to us 24/7 now. We're in the iHeartRadio app. Just search for Domk. You can also download each Domkcast on iTunes. Got a lot of good stuff planned for the upcoming weeks. Trying to iron things out with Sonny from POD. Hopefully we get to talk to him soon. Some local bands, Tony Romanello, the Black Jackets. Also, the Normandy's going to be a part of the Domkcast in the month of July. Next week, hopefully, we get to snag a few of the members of the Nixons before their show at the Canes Ballroom next Friday. But tonight, it's all about Corey Glover from the band Living Color. They got a new album coming out soon. What's going on?
Hello. How's it going?
It's going pretty damn good right now, my friend.
It is for you, because God damn, you just blew me up on Twitter.
I'm sorry if it felt like annoying and too much, but it's kind of like you don't understand, which we'll get into later in this conversation, how much you've done for me. And I knew since you guys have this new album coming out and a new song, which is badass, that I had to get you on here.
Oh, cool. I mean, it wasn't like I couldn't escape you. I wasn't going to block you. So.
I was worried about that because first you followed me. I was like, oh my God, he's following me. And then you messaged me, private messaged me. I'm like, okay, now I'm going too far. I'm going to push him away. I'm going to filing papers against me, protective order. I mean, it's going to be on.
Brady was nothing short of like showing up at your doorstep, Corey. And they're like, seriously, are we going to do this? What?
Let's talk about this new album, man. Okay. September 8th, it comes out. Shade, yes. It took you 8 years between albums, but 4 years to make this thing?
We take our time usually when it comes to making records, and this is no exception. But damn, it took us so long. It was just trying to get this thing right. You know, we started this like I said, like 4 or 5 years ago, and we played we did an event at the Apollo Theater in Harlem for the 100th anniversary of the birth of Robert Johnson. Yeah. And we played a few songs. It was like, wow, we played this stuff really good, really well. My mother's name was Teacher. I should do that correctly. We did this really well. And why haven't there been a contemporary sort of look at the blues from our perspective? We don't pull no punches when it comes to the idea of telling what the world looks like to us. And that's what the blues is. And everything that you listen to at this point, at any point of any kind of music, is steeped in that kind of tradition of the blues. Yeah. So why haven't we really sort of tackled that? It was our sort of look at that deconstruction and that idea that how the blues sort of informs our world and how we inform the world through the blues.
I like that because you guys have done everything from metal to rock to hip hop to funk.
Right.
From the first,
and all that stuff is based in the blues. Yeah, it is. All that stuff comes from the blues. And so we said, okay, this is what we do. We sort of take everything and sort of mix it all together and see what it looks like. Why don't we come from a blues sort of basis and go out from there and see what happens?
Now, you guys did a cover of Robert Johnson's Preachin' Blues?
Which is how this whole thing started, was with Preachin' Blues. But then we looked at, we did Inner City Blues by
Marvin Gaye. And
then we did Who Shot Ya?
Yeah, by Notorious B.I.G.
Which was, in our estimation, the blues as well. We tried to run the gamut of all the stuff that we saw the blues was a part of.
Yeah, at one point, Rolling Stone categorized you guys as the funk pioneers. Would you agree with that?
I don't know if I'm a pioneer. I don't think of us as pioneers, no. Because we stand, as Doug Wimbish, the bass player, likes to say, we stand on the shoulders of giants. And we've been doing this for a long time. So I guess if you stick around long enough, they call you a pioneer. But trust me, we're not.
You're not going to claim it?
No, hell no.
Now, Corey, back in the day, you had some acting experience. You were Francis in Platoon. You were also Judas, Jesus Christ Superstar. So what's more your passion, acting or singing?
Well, the thing about singing is it is an acting exercise. I'm an actor who sings, basically. So I'm playing a character in every song that has a particular point of view and a particular perspective. So I have to use my acting chops to really get a song across. At the same time, singers have to really sort of embody something and have to tell. They're truth tellers. It's just like actors are truth tellers. And you have to find the truth in all that. So it's all the same thing as far as I'm concerned.
Totally. Another interesting tidbit about you, used to be a VJ on VH1 back when MTV and VH1 actually played music. Nowadays, I can't watch it for longer than like 15 minutes. I'm like, what happened to these two networks, man? You were back in like the glory days.
Yeah, well, there's a music and television had its heyday in the mid 80s, early 90s. It coasted into the 2000s. But it's about money, I would imagine, for those kind of entities, for MTV and VH1. They are, what sells, what makes, where is youth culture now? It's an infusion of, programming and music. So VJ's not really that going to help you do any of that.
Maybe I'm sounding like an old guy here, but I miss the old networks. Back in the day when I was a kid, I used to stay up and I watched like 120 Minutes with Matt Pinfield on MTV. And
Headbangers Ball.
Headbangers Ball,
yes. MTV Raps.
Ricky Rackman.
Yes, Ricky Rackman. That's right.
Where is that stuff nowadays? Yeah, see there, I'm spouting off like an old guy here.
Yeah.
Now they have Teen Mom.
Yeah. You're gonna wear your jeans way up on your waist now and the whole
Yeah, exactly. Goodness.
After wash jeans and Sperry topsiders. Is that what's gonna happen?
It's possible. Oh, I wanted to go back to Who Shot You?
Okay.
You did a mixtape EP when you did 3 or 5 different versions of this song?
Yeah.
And you had Chuck D, Black Thought, and From Monk. How did that come together?
We know all those folks.
Because when I heard it, because this is not the version that's on Shade, right?
No, not at all.
Okay, well, because when I heard it, I was blown away. And the fact that you took this song when Biggie did it, going towards Tupac, when he got shot the first time, and you guys redid it to make it mean a totally different thing.
Well, we live we've lived in a gun culture. So the existence of this world that we live in is very much a gun culture, and we always thought people's idea of a solution is a bigger gun. Here's a song that was initially sort of like a diss track to Tupac from Biggie, and it only escalated. So it actually foreshadowed his own demise.
Which is crazy when you think about it.
But at the same time, we live in a culture that's filled with guns, and he's just a victim of really telling the story of a culture, of a gun culture. And we're looking at a gun culture that has done so much damage, and the idea of who is this? Yeah. What is this? What is this about?
I agree with that because I'm getting sick of seeing the little push notifications on my phone. I get the CNN app, and literally like every day there's a different shooting. Of course, the latest, the one in Washington, D.C., where a guy got shot because he was a Republican. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, or the opposite, or just getting shot because that your solution to any kind of problem is to use violence and force and a gun to do what, I don't know, but the idea of having a discussion and understanding someone's views as much as you understand your own is sadly going away.
I definitely agree with that. Now, your debut album, Vivid, had a lot of success. Obviously, that was the album with Cult of Personality. Since then, obviously, Cult of Personality, everybody knows. Even CM Punk uses it for his intro music in WWE. You guys actually performed that song live at a WrestleMania a few years back.
Right.
Reflect on the success that you had with the album Vivid.
In as much as, Shade took forever to make, the whole idea of us getting a record deal and being able to make a record was a long time coming. And we spent a great deal of time fretting over these songs, and all the songs on Vivid, and any other album for that matter. But on Vivid in particular, we fretted over these songs. We fretted over Middleman. We fretted over Cult of Personality. We fretted over Broken Hearts and Memories Can't Wait, and all those other songs on that album. We were prepared to spend our time in a van going across the country playing these songs. We were all really surprised when we found out that there was some success with this album. And that Cult of Personality in particular, when we thought, we first played the song, was like, this song is big, this song is really impactful, this song will really do something. It'll take a minute for people to catch on. Because of MTV, here we go.
Hey!
Go back to MTV. We caught fire somehow. For us, it happened when we weren't around. Like, when Cult of Personality was on MTV and on the radio in the States, we were in Europe, and we'd come back and they say, "Oh, by the way, you have a top 10 single." Yeah. Who has a top 10 single from what?
Did that really shock you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, why? How did that happen? And then when we would go out on the road and people knew who we were and recognized us, it was kind of weird, really strange.
I remember when I was like 14 or 15 when I first heard you guys on the radio. And then when I saw you guys on MTV, it blew me away because me being a black guy listening to rap and rock and metal and punk, I was kind of like, I was like an enigma. Like I was the only one until I saw you guys, and it blew me away. I was like, oh my God, I'm not alone in this anymore. So without you, I would have been like, I'm just a lonesome old guy sitting over here listening to all this. So like, I could identify was like, oh my God, that's me. That is me.
Right. Well, you're telling the story of all of us.
Yes.
In this band to a certain degree, because at the same time, Will Calhoun, who's studied, who's gone to Berklee College of Music and is played in jazz and played all that stuff, grew up on hip hop, but he wanted to play rock music. Also, he listened to Rush and Led Zeppelin at the same time. I'm from Brooklyn, and me and Vernon are both from Brooklyn. I spent most of my time singing R&B music and gospel music, but I always wanted to be in a rock band. Vernon was playing in jazz bands and doing like Caribbean music and doing all kinds of stuff before he always wanted to be in a rock band. So we were always, there's always this element of other about us.
Yeah, I was reading an interesting little tidbit about you. Vernon, I guess, discovered you at a friend's birthday party and you were singing Happy Birthday. And he was like, I got to have this guy in the band.
Yeah, it was a girl I dated for a minute and stopped dating, and she invited me to her birthday party. And she was friends with Vernon's sister, who took Vernon to this party with her. So there's a party, and somebody wheels out a birthday cake, and they light the candles, and she says, "Nobody sing. Corey's going to sing Happy Birthday." So I sang Happy Birthday, and I struck up a conversation with Vernon. He was like, "Hey, man, if you ever want to do anything, give me a call." I gave him my number. We exchanged numbers. A couple months later, he calls me up and says, "Look, I'm looking for a singer in my band. Can you come down? Can you come over and listen to some of these songs, and we'll play some of these songs and see what happens." So I did. He turns out he doesn't live too far away from me. He lives like 6 blocks away from me. So I went down to walk to his house and play these songs, and that's why I heard I Want to Know, and I heard Broken Hearts, and heard a bunch of songs that wound up on the record. I auditioned for him and didn't get the gig. Somebody else got the gig.
Really?
Yeah, another dude got the gig. So I hadn't heard from Vernon in a couple of months, and then he calls me and says, "Look, I think I can't make the gig. Can you do it?" Like, oh, so I didn't get the job.
I'm your second choice? What's this?
Okay, all right, no problem. I'll do it, and then I'm going to curse you out after the gig. But the gig went really well, and it turns out the guy who their first choice didn't come back, so they were stuck with me.
And the rest is history.
Right.
Well, obviously, the big thing that's shook the rock world the last month or so was the news about Chris Cornell. And all of these tributes were coming out afterwards, different bands covering old Soundgarden or Audio Slave songs. And a lot of people do the stereotypical Black Hole Sun and Like a Stone, but you guys, you guys had one of my favorite ones because you did Blow Up the Outside World.
We were doing that song years ago. Like right after 9/11, the radio industry decided there were songs that they weren't going to play.
Yeah. There was a whole list that came out. Yeah,
yeah, the list.
There was a list, and that song was on the list. And we are friends with the guys in Soundgarden, Kim and everybody else. We know them personally. Yeah. So we decided on the road we were going to play some of the songs they wouldn't let us that you won't hear on the radio, and Blow Up the Outside World was one of them. Like, and we're New Yorkers. We're from New York City. We were there during that whole thing. And how are you going to stop somebody from expressing themselves?
Yeah.
And finding a way to express themselves. And Blow Up the Outside World as a statement has an emotional heft to it that that is undeniable. Why shouldn't you play something like that? So we did. So when we heard the news about Chris, we happened to be in Australia at the time. It was devastating because we've known Chris for a very long time, and we know his family. just to pay tribute to him, we decided to pull it out of mothballs and do it again. So
we're all looking forward to the new album, Shade, that's set to be released September the 8th. What do you like more about your new album as opposed to your previous?
I think, like I said, we're trying to do the thing with